Hey guys, and welcome to another Tipsy Thursdays. I am your host, the Contact Center Whisperer, the CEO and founder of Solid Rock Consulting. And this week we're talking all things shrinkage. I have the amazing Todd Hixon. Todd, thank you so much for taking the time to come and interview and share your wisdom with the people. Okay, we're going to dive right in. Tell me, when did you first fall in love with workforce management?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. I feel very privileged to be here. I believe I fell in love with workforce management long before I ever walked into the door of a call center. Before I was involved in our business, I ran a large stagehand company, setting up concerts and special events. Well, how would that make sense in a call center? I'd have 100 people I had never seen in my life. Some of them had to set up lights. Some of them had to set up sound. Some of them had to be in a hotel in one part of town. The others would have to have tuxedos on, being in a ballroom. And you can imagine the background of a lot of call center. Or I'd ask a question, for example, how many of you work on cars? Well, some of them would raise their hands and I'd say, let me see you hold a wrench. And if they held the wrench right, I'd put them on the light crew because I could tell that they could tighten the bolts correctly. So it was really right person in the right place at the right time with people I had never seen before. And I have a mathematical background, went to college for engineering, and it was math and people put together and just totally loved it. And so took a part-time job in a call center and they asked me, would you come to the dark side and work in workforce management?
Not the dark side. And they got to put some respect on us.
About 20 years ago, but never looked back.
Wow. Well, I am so glad that you came over to the dark side. All right. So we're going to hop into this week's topic and we're talking about shrinkage. So in your own expert words, right? How would you describe shrinkage and its impacts on businesses, customer experience, employee experience, or business profitability?
Well, we've all heard forever, again, right person in the right place at the right time, now in the right channel with the right skill set. So if that's our goal as workforce professionals, shrinkage is anything that takes away from that goal. In other words, an agent's in a customer-facing state. They're either helping a customer or they're sitting waiting to help a customer. If you're not helping the customer or sitting waiting to help a customer, you're in a state of shrinkage.
I love that. What is the biggest myth that you've heard or that you've seen around shrinkage or managing shrinkage?
Well, I could probably write a book on the myths on shrinkage, but I thought of a couple. And one of them was blanket shrinkage. And everybody, you see it all the time. If you think about what WFM does, it's forecasting, right? That's the first thing we do, or first we have to have our data. And if you have the data, well, so this is what we did last year for shrinkage. Okay, are you going to have storms at the same time this year? Are you going to have a marketing push at the same time this year? Or, well, we're so picky about our curves with volume. We should be picky about our curves with AHT, but we throw in 30% for the whole year for shrinkage. Now, 10 minutes after your shift starts and people are in the door, how many people have a break if you open at 8 in the morning? Nobody. So why do you have the same shrinkage 15 minutes after you open that you do at noon when half your team's on breaks or lunch? It makes absolutely no sense. And I'll take it a step further, and I get wound up.
I'm just sitting over here minding my business, okay?
These customers out there will do shrinkage by the interval. How many of them do that for you?
Well, it depends.
I got it. All right, this is a high point. I have Juanita quiet.
Listen, you're not going to drag me into your petty today, okay, Todd? You're not going to drag me into your petty.
No, I'm not going any further with it, but I'm just saying it's important. It's as important.
It is. It is so very important.
And shrinkage, because if you don't know how many people you have, how can you take care of your customers? So the biggest myth I've heard is having a blanket shrinkage. And then that ties into the second part of, well, we're going to do the same thing this year we did last year. Yeah, right. Let's predict COVID.
I love that. That is a big myth around. And I love that you honed in on the blanket shrinkage, right? Because it's so important that we look at this by interval. And there are some tools that you can leverage. And this is not the tool show, right? But there are some tools that you can leverage to be looking at, first of all, pulling your data, right? So you alluded to that a little bit earlier, making sure that you're pulling your data in so that you can know, right? Like you just said, how many people are taking break at 8 a.m. So why do we have 30% shrink at 8 a.m.? Right now, some people going to be late, of course. Are some people going to probably open up and you have to go to training or, whatever the case may be? Sure. Right. But is it 30%? And why is it that across the board? So I love that tip or that myth that you are talking about using blanket shrinkage. Now, give us a tip. Leave the people with a tip on how they can manage their shrinkage better.
So if you think about that's the myth, how do you fix the myth? And of course, being an old musician, I'm a big fan of Eric Clapton. And I love what he said, and I've used it for almost everything workforce. They asked him what makes him a great guitar player. He said, it's not what I play, it's what I don't play. Well, shrinkage is what we don't play because we're not on the phones. So how can you be proactive? If you think about best in class on a maturity index for WFM, you're not being reactive, you're being proactive. So first you have to look at what you did. Well, then you're sort of managing in time that a lot of call centers do, real time, canceling stuff, doing stuff. But how can you predict ahead? One of the things I did many years ago is we start a bottoms up shrinkage when we do the budget. We have the people from HR there with the compliance training that you have to do every year. We'll talk to training and see what training they have that's repeat training or prepping for a season if you have a seasonal business. We'll look at our hiring plan because we know our AHT is going to be higher when we have new hires on the phone. We'll lay our whole year out in advance, and then we look at the spots where we have overage. Well, everybody just thinks, yeah, let the agents off. Well, why don't you take care of your shrinkage there first? Literally, I'll tell a story about when I was at Cabela's. The people were fantastic. The operations people totally got a hold of it. They got a hold of this idea, and HR got on board. And within 2 years, we would have all our compliance training and everything done by the middle of July, long before Christmas season started. And the supervisors got competitive and actually helped us. And boy, I'll tell you what, if an agent was scheduled twice for a compliance training and didn't make it, workforce wasn't calling them. The supervisors were on them because they wanted to be number one. They wanted to be done. And we made it a we project, not a us and you, and tied it all together. So great tip, plan the plan, work the plan, get ahead of it, and look at your slow spots or what you're not playing. And this is when you plan your shrinkage. If you got to have your shrinkage done, take care of that first and then do the VTO and vacations. Along those same lines, the second tip, use the same concept when you do your weekly meeting for looking at next week and the week after. Okay, what intervals? Let's say usually you have a second shift and a first shift that overlap. And it's a fat spot of the day. I'll tell a story a little bit in the other direction, won't name the company, but they wanted to have their supervisor meeting every Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Guess when the absolute slowest spot of our week was? Wednesday at 2 o'clock. And I'm like, no, this is where you need to have your team meetings and your huddles and stuff. You guys can meet in the morning when everybody's not there and when we're a little bit busy. Well, that's not what we want to do.
Right.
And I'm like, are we there to help our customers?
Purpose over present, purpose over preference.
Yep, exactly. So if you look at your plan ahead of time and you know those intervals, we would publish a chart and have supervisors sign up for coaching blocks in our fat spots of the day. And then we'd have blackout periods that there were no events going on. And that lets you take that interval shrinkage, take your over and under, and really manage to the level. And it's all about having your cake and eating it too. So sorry, I'm a little long-winded.
No, I love that.
I get the concept across.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not about what you want to do. It's about what you need to do, right? I say this all the year. I say this all the time. Purpose over preference. This may not be what you prefer to do, but what is the purpose? What is the goal? What is the business outcome that you're wanting to impact? Okay. And this goes into life, period. Do I want to get up at 3 a.m. to make the gym, 4 a.m. to make the gym? No, but my purpose, my goal, my outcome that I want to drive requires me to do that. My preference would be to do it at 8 or 6 or 7 when everybody else get to do it, right? But purpose over preference. Is my preference to spend long amounts of hours doing no, but my purpose requires me to come higher. And so I love when I hear workforce management leaders and operational leaders understand purpose over preference, because it foundationally, change the outcome of the WFM culture inside of an organization. And if you can change that culture, not only workforce management, but operationally, like you said, this is not a me problem, right? This is not a me goal. This is a we goal, right? So this is what we are wanting to accomplish in the organization. And we can only do that if we're aligned and have synergy on purpose over preference. I love that. You done preached the whole, come on, Todd, you get me
reminded me of
excited.
what my high school algebra teacher used to say, and he would make it very simple, and we hated it. He'd look at us all and say, you don't have to, you get to.
Come on here. Come on. I got to stay on camera. Todd, you're trying to make me run, huh? Thank you so.
Well, we can both put our hands in the air, though.
Listen, that's all I can do. I got to stay right here because otherwise I'll be running around this room. You don't have to. You get to. Wow. Well, oh my gosh, that was so amazing. We're talking about shrinkage. Hopefully y'all got some good nuggets because Todd sent me in a whole motion today. Okay. I had to go to church, go back to church, amazing. Todd, thank you so much for being with us and giving us the tips, the myths around strategy, around shrinkage and strategies that we could be leveraging to manage and improve shrinkage in our organizations. Tell the audience where they can find you.
Well, thank you, Juanita. And I think we would close this way. Shrinkage is a big deal. And they can get a hold of me at Todd, TODD _Hixon, HIXSON. Nobody spells it right, but it's HIXSON at E2EO2.com, which is end-to-end optimization.
I love it. I love it. Well, hang out in the green room with me and I'm going to wrap the show and I'll be right back over there with you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So there you have it from the expert himself, the Todd Hixon. Thank y'all so much. We talked about shrinkage this week. If you have a topic that you want to cover on Tipsy Thursdays, comment, leave a note below, DM me if you're shy. All right. I'll see y'all next time. Until next time, go make impact. See y'all soon. Bye.